today's cup of coffee, Kid is wanting to do at some point an ASMR video, and I'm like, no. I mean, maybe if it were creepy sounds, but that would be more like a sound effect video. See, I don't find that noise soothing. I find that noise annoying. But at some point, I have been threatening to do an ADHD ASMR for a couple of years now. We're hitting the microphone and everything. So there's enough people that have videos where they make odd noises.
But there's not us.
Our odd noises is me trying to speak other languages.
That's it.
That is it. So for today's cup of coffee, we have something, again, from Live Science, because I am thoroughly enjoying that website.
Love Live Science.
By Brandon Specktor, and this was April the 10th of 2022. The article is entitled, UFOs Left Radiation Burns and Unaccounted for Pregnancies, New Pentagon Report Claims.
Wow.
I thought that was pretty significant. So there's been a lot of, no, that seriously, people have been trying to get the government to release files on different UFO things for years. And it's just like, I can't remember which senator that it was a couple of years ago that had filed the FOIA request. And so they did release the stuff, and it was so redacted, it was unreadable.
Yeah.
Which I think is really shitty, and I think that it's non-compliance, actually.
That is non-compliance.
So it's like, your tax dollars at work, but you can't know what they're doing with your tax dollars.
Yeah.
And I think that anybody who pays into this, the kid's looking at me, he's like, oh God, don't go political. I think that taxpayers should have the ability to determine what needs to be done with their monies.
I mean, yeah.
So,
like, I agree with that.
For too long, they have acted like they have had a blank check and they did whatever the hell they wanted to with the funds. Yeah. But I'm not the only one that's ever noticed that. Back to UFOs. Before I get too far.
Taxes.
Yeah. Before I get too far down that rabbit hole, because there's other channels that do the political thing.
That's called BreadTube.
Is it? Is that the political side? Is BreadTube?
BreadTube.
Why do they call it that?
Bread, getting
I understand
that bread.
as far as money, but
That's why.
how's that political?
Because political stuff brings in money.
Okay. Did they have the highest viewership?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we own the Fringe Tube, which was the original YouTube. Yeah. He's looking at me funny again. Anyhow, it's just because I look like I'm trying to grow another face right now.
Help her. Help.
Yeah, the abscess it's impressive at this point. So
it's better today than it was yesterday.
Thus the speaking a little strangely.
It's even better than it was this morning. It has gone down a lot.
Yeah. Don't go to the ER. They will not do shit for you.
They told us to go to another fucking ER.
No, they told us
if it
not.
gets bad.
They said do not come back to the ER if it gets worse.
To that ER.
No, it said to any. You missed what he said, because it's all the same part of Ballad. Because they have a monopoly in the area. It started out, I mean, here my face is swollen. It had gotten more swollen over the course of the day. There's something called cellulitis, which I've had before, which can be life-threatening. Mm-hmm. So what do they tell you to do? If you're having these symptoms, go to the ER. One of the nurses screams out, toothache, and I thought, no. Swelling, severe swelling. Type 1 diabetic.
You should have been like, no, I have swelling on one side of my face.
Normally I would have, but it's like when you feel like hell, it's kind of hard to advocate for yourself.
I should have yelled at that.
And so, dude was just an ass. But he really did. He's like, there's no point in coming back
we can put
here.
Them on blast. We can put that whole damn hospital on blast, and that doctor especially. How about let me do it?
No.
Let me do it. I'll do it on TikTok. It's pointless. I'll do it on TikTok.
But anyhow, he's like, call a dentist as soon as possible. Well, hell, yeah. But when it's on the weekend...
No shit, Sherlock. If we weren't having an emergency, we wouldn't fucking be there.
Right. We were the only people in the ER, and I don't know, maybe he was missing an episode of House or something.
The receptionist, bless
she was
her
wonderful.
Heart, she was the best part. She was the only good part of that whole damn trip.
She's a kind lady.
She actually understood. She saw it. She was like, ooh.
This is the only time I have been grateful for the masks. Because I can put them across. It's like, oh God, she's horribly deformed.
Well, I've been trying to tell you that the whole time. Like, you could just look like shit and just go out.
No, that's not how that works. It was just a matter of the horrible... people will pity me for my deformity right now. Yes.
No, it's not that severe. Now let's be
back to the UFOs. Back to the UFOs. And... I've totally lost where I was at after all this stuff. This was the massive database from the U.S. government reports recently made through a Freedom of Information Act, that is FOIA here.
Freedom of Information, yet they redact everything.
Absolutely. And it says that encounters with UFOs have reportedly left Americans suffering from radiation burns, brain and nervous system damage, and even the unaccounted for pregnancy. I think the American public needs to be able to know these things and weigh the risk. It says the database.
It's a fish. It's a fish that takes your data.
Of documents includes more than 1,500 pages of UFO-related material from the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. Who the hell knew such a thing existed?
They did, apparently.
I think the American people need to know that there is an Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. I do. And that is a secretive U.S. Department of Defense program that ran from 2007 to 2012. Any of this shit that they tell you that it no longer exists means that it still exists. And what they'll do is that they will simply change part of the name of it and just keep on trucking. So it's crazy. Despite never being classified as a secret or top secret, the AATIP only, that's harder than reading just the name of it, only became known to the public in 2017 when former program director Louis Elizondo, I think is how you pronounce it, resigned from the Pentagon and released several now infamous videos of an unidentified craft moving in seemingly impossible ways to the media. Shortly after the AATIP's existence was revealed, the U.S. outpost of the British tabloid The Sun filed a FOIA request for any and all documents related to the program. Now, I'm not sure if The Sun is... I know that over there in Britain that they have one that is similar to what the Weekly World News used to be here.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know if that one is legit. Those of you all across the pond, y'all can, comment and let us know whether that one is something that needs to be taken seriously or not.
Yeah.
And it says, 4 years later, on April the 5th, 2022, the U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, honored the request by releasing more than 1,574 pages of material to The Sun. According to The Sun, the cache of documents includes reports on the biological effects of UFO sightings on humans, studies on advanced technologies such as invisibility cloaks, and plans for deep space exploration and colonization.
Wow.
Some portions of the documents were withheld in part for privacy and confidentiality concerns, the AATIP told The Sun. In other words, they cut out the good parts, the significant parts.
Yeah.
One standout document from the collection is a report titled Anomalous Acute and Subacute Field Effects on Human and Biological Tissues, which was dated March 2010. The report describes alleged injuries to, quote, human observers by anomalous advanced aerospace systems, end quote, some of which may be a threat to United States interest, according to the document. The report describes 42 cases of medical files and 300 unpublished cases where humans sustained injuries after alleged encounters with anomalous vehicles, which include UFOs. In some cases, humans showed burn injuries or other conditions related to electromagnetic radiation, the report said, some of them appearing to have been inflicted by energy-related pulsation systems. Well, hell, normal nations, well, not normal nations, but there are nations that have those damn things now.
Yeah.
Oh,
my God.
Anyhow, the report also noted cases of brain damage, nerve damage, heart palpitations.
I got some brain damage.
And headaches related to anomalous vehicle
I got
encounters.
headaches.
I think it's called just about, military anywhere.
I got headaches. Does that count?
No.
Can I be one of those?
No, it is unclear what kind of vetting process, if any, the AATIP used to investigate these alleged cases. The Sun has yet to share the full contents of the requested reports. The report also includes a list of alleged biological effects of UFO sightings on human observers between 1873 and 1994.
What?
That's what it says, 1873.
That does not make sense.
And it's compiled by the Mutual UFO Network, or MUFON. Well, now that makes sense if it was MUFON doing it, but as far as the government doing that, they don't do shit.
No.
Except screw people over. That's my opinion. A civilian nonprofit group that studies reported UFO sightings, that's what MUFON is. The reported effects of UFO encounters include
Mama's going to get us into trouble.
Unaccounted for pregnancy, apparent abduction, paralysis, and experiences of perceived telepathy, teleportation, and levitation. The report concludes that there is sufficient evidence to support try that again. Let's just totally try that again. Sufficient evidence to support a hypothesis that some advanced systems are already deployed and opaque to full U.S. understandings. In other words, there's shit going on, but they don't know shit about what the shit is.
So basically, they don't know shit about shit.
That's it.
They don't know shit about jack shit.
And it says, for more details, check out the Sun's initial report on their FOIA request. And the link will be in the description box. And if you go to the article, it does have a link for the Sun. So that was pretty interesting on that. For them to release anything, and they have been, drop by drop opening a lot of this stuff, but I think that you've got Project Bluebeam coming, but I expected that a year or two ago.
Is that the one where God comes down as an alien in a spaceship?
No, that's the one where it is a matter of, it will be a deception of having an alien invasion. Yeah, because you talk about mass hysteria and panic. That would definitely do that.
Not if you don't get out of the house and don't look up at the sky.
No, there's still other stuff. That's what I've always wondered about the chemtrails. Contrails do not stay from morning to evening and, spider web and obliterate the view of the sky.
Regular contrails.
Right. Chemtrails do that.
Chemtrails over the country club.
Well, chemtrails over everything, and I always thought, one, what are they trying to prevent us from seeing, and two, wouldn't that make an amazing projection screen?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So.
One giant ass projector. Yeah. There we go.
Yeah. And they are working on the different technology. Weren't you talking about in Japan that they have some kind of holographic technology now where they're doing that with characters, some of the anime characters supposedly in concert?
Well, they've had that technology for about 2 decades now, maybe.
They've had it for 20 years?
Yeah, because Miku Actually, it's probably around 15 years. Miku, live in concert in Japan. She was supposed to appear at Coachella. They'd mostly do it for a lot of, like, you know, anime characters.
Right,
and stuff
so
like
it's actually quite possible for them to do something like that.
They did it for Tupac at the Grammys
Right.
one year. That was back in 2014. And they did that with Michael Jackson, too.
Right.
They had projections of them up at the Grammys.
Question. What happens when somebody videotapes those things? Does it lose resolution and stuff like that? It looks like it would have to.
I can show you.
No, they know, because you can't show the people, so there ain't no point, and you can show me later.
Okay, well, you can sort of tell, like, something's off because it's, like, way too large anyway.
Right.
Because it's you can tell, like, that's a sort of a projection. But if you're in the crowd, I'm sure, like, you could see more detail, but camera alone, it looks real.
Well,
it looks like they are actually there.
The reason I ask that, because in a world where we have cell phones and the ability to photograph and record anything anywhere at any time, I just wondered if there would be a difference in the technology that did project, you know, hologram as far as an alien invasion.
Oh, by now that technology is way farther out than we know.
So to where that it probably would not lose resolution if it were videoed.
Maybe. Though, then again, like, it's the same with photos, like, if you blow it up to a certain point, it's gonna look blurry.
Well, yeah, and it's, you know, got little dots and stuff like that.
Well, not even
I don't want to say
gonna
pixelate, but it gets grainy.
Yeah. Like, that's gonna happen with anything and everything.
Interesting question.
But it's going to be fascinating to see when that actually comes to be.
Yeah, I'd rather
I probably sounded like a blithering idiot there,
no,
but...
I've been blithering for years.
I'm pretty sure it will be... Like, because none of us are going to be able to tell, like, it's going to be a projection, obviously.
Right.
Especially since it's so high up, none of us are going to be able to see the resolution of it clearly.
Well, and it's hard to tell what, as far as this plan with this deception, because it's going to be immense.
Unless you had, like, a scope of some sort, like, what are they called, that you can see the planets? Those scopes in specific?
Telescope.
Okay. Unless you had, like, a telescope or something, you wouldn't be able to tell if you're just on the ground looking up.
Right. I thought it's interesting that the Vatican has an observatory and has had one for many years and got, like, the best in the world.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're going to not discuss that today. That's a possible cut for later. I watched, you know, I was telling you about...
we all know that they're hiding shit
one of
from
those
us anyway.
Sleepless nights that I've had lately.
That's where the actual Area 51 is.
21.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I had watched the interview with Joe Rogan and Bob Lazar. And oldest kid had talked to me about that a couple of weeks back. Really, really good interview. You can find that on YouTube. And Bob Lazar was a gentleman that had worked, it wasn't Area 51, it was one of the adjacent locations, but as far as reverse engineering on a, you could call it a UFO because I didn't know what the hell that it was. And he said that it wasn't the only one that had been found, that there had been, I think he said 9. And this was an ancient technology. Ancient. So it would very much go in with the theory that there were civilizations prior to us that were a lot more advanced. And yeah, that crust of the earth shifting thing would explain a lot. We talked about that.
Like there's people underneath the ground?
No, like ever so often that the underneath becomes sort of liquidy, and so the crust of the earth can just sort of slide around it. We did talk about this.
Well, yeah,
go back and watch our videos.
There's multiple layers to the earth.
Well, it's not the core. It is the mantle, which is the outer part. So that very well could have been the cause of many prior civilizations not being, not even having any trace or very few traces of them left.
Have you seen clips of trees breathing? Like they lift out of the ground, or the ground looks like it's breathing, and it lifts out of the ground and then slowly goes back down.
No.
Slowly rises back up, goes back down. It looks like it's breathing. It's actually the wind, and it's pulling the trees up. And the roots is pulling the ground and such like that.
I can see that.
And sometimes with certain pieces of land, water actually gets trapped under the grass.
Right. Those are swamps
it's
and
like a balloon.
bogs. Yeah.
So,
but this is a little deeper than that, and it's different than the tectonic plate theory. We did discuss this. Go back in our archives. We've got all kinds of shit.
I know we discussed it.
We're educational and shit.
I'm right here most of the time.
But with the FOIA request, I wish that they had gone into a little more detail on this about the unexplained pregnancy. There's been quite a few of those reports over the years, even as far as where the impregnating
Virgin Mary.
No, the impregnated. That was uncalled for. It was the impregnating of the people, and then that they would harvest the fetuses. Fetuses. Anyhow.
Fetus.
So there's been a lot of reports about that, and it would not be unheard of for them to do some kind of genetic mutation. God knows we got all that shit going on right now too, and it ain't even the aliens. And maybe the aliens is behind all of it. Actually, I do think a lot of it's fallen angel technology. No kidding.
Or maybe the aliens shit is all a ruse and there's actually something else behind that.
Yes, fallen angel technology. For real. For real. Read the Michael Heiser little fiction. It was The Portent, and then what's the other one? The Facade. I think is what it is. It is fiction, but it's based on fact. They're really cool. They're not bad little reads. I mean, a lot of people could finish those in like a night or two. Mm-hmm. They're not hugely long. So, for your request, and aliens. It was aliens.
Aliens.
I can't think they came in the night and zapped my teeth.
That'd be nice.
No, I think they did it in a negative way.
No, they need to zap it and heal it.
Hey, actually, you know that there
was someone that actually had that happen.
Right.
Like the dude's hearing or whatever.
Right. There's been more than one encounter as far as people having these light beams. I don't want to say doing surgery on them or something like that, but that produced some kind of a healing event.
I would like one to come here, like, tonight.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
I will go out and scream into the void. If I have to, I will dig a hole and just scream into it.
You do
until
that. You do that, and the neighbors are going to think you're just one more meth head. Yes, we have enough. What if
I just dug my own grave and then there we go? I just crawl in and lay down. There we go.
I think there's a lot of people. It's like, no, get up here and just fight it out with the rest of us. So, if you had experiences with paranormal, supernatural encounters with UFOs, aliens, cryptids, FOIA request, if you've got local, regional, or family myths and legends, send us an email, cupofcoffeewithscream@gmail.com, and the email address is always there in the description box, so you don't have to try to remember what I have said. Mm-hmm. Prayers are appreciated right now greatly.
Yes, pray for her, please.
Yeah, I'd rather not do the sepsis thing. That would suck.
And one day we will do the ASMR. Here's a little teaser.
That's just weird. He watches some strange things. I think that the ASMR, some of those are, I don't know, that and the things where people eat things. It's just, anyhow. We'll see you all on the next cup. Know that you're loved, appreciated, and drink more coffee.
If you like this video, don't forget to like, share, comment, and most of all, subscribe and click that little notification button for daily notifications of our daily uploads. And we will see you all on the next one. Goodbye.
Bye.